A spaceman died in front of millions of people, and no one knows how. It was 1961 when a Soviet space program cosmonaut named Gagarin was preparing for his second trip into space. He'd already made history just 2 years prior as the first human to ever orbit the Earth. So naturally, everyone was excited to see him do it again. This time, though, something went wrong. Very wrong. On the day of the launch, Gagarin and his backup cosmonaut, Andrei Nikolov, reported that they were feeling fine. They underwent their standard medical examination, which included an electrocardiogram, or EKG, to check his heart rate and blood pressure, as well as a test of his urine to make sure everything was working properly. The doctor said everything looked good. And so the men were cleared for launch. They arrived at the launch site, got strapped into their spacesuits, and climbed aboard the rocket. At 9:07 a.m. Moscow time, the rocket lifted off. It was the perfect start to what should have been a routine mission. But about 10 minutes after takeoff, radio contact with the spacecraft was lost. Mission Control tried to re-establish contact, but nothing came through. After a while, they decided to send another rocket up to try and rescue the men. When the rescue party arrived at the capsule, they found out exactly what had happened. Gagarin and Nikolov were both dead, but there was no sign of a struggle, nor any indication as to why the mission had failed. Their life support systems were working. All of their vitals, as far as the technology could tell, were normal. There was no evidence that they had panicked. They were simply strapped into their seats, dead. The news of their deaths sent shockwaves around the world. Naturally, the public demanded answers. What had killed these men? Had they been murdered? Was it an accident? Suicide? No one knew. The Soviet Union did its best to keep details of the tragedy under wraps, but enough trickled out to make headlines all over the world. Newspapers ran stories speculating that the cosmonauts had been killed by a new American virus. Others suggested that they might have been victims of a malfunctioning piece of space equipment. But really, no one had any idea. In the following days, the Soviets did release one official statement saying that a malfunction in the launch vehicle had led to the deaths of the crew. But even this didn't answer any questions. What kind of malfunction could have killed 2 people but left the spacecraft intact? And so the conspiracy theories began. Some believed that the cosmonauts had been killed by the immense G-forces involved in space travel. But a similar theory had been disproven just a few months prior, when Alan Shepard became the first American to reach space. He survived without any ill effects. Others wondered if maybe they had suffocated, but their life support system should have prevented that. Still, others believed that the men had been poisoned, either accidentally or intentionally. The truth is, to this day, nobody knows what actually happened to Gagarin and Nikolov. Their death certificates both list heart failure as the cause of death. But there's no way of knowing whether or not that's true. Their bodies were never recovered, so there was no way to perform autopsies. Whatever happened, it seems likely that it would have been almost instantaneous. In fact, the only reason anyone knew anything had gone wrong was because the ground crew noticed that the spacecraft had begun to descend early. If the men had died during the ascent, no one would have ever known until the rescue mission. And by that point, there would have been no way to find out what had happened. Tragically, this isn't the only unexplained death that has occurred during a space mission. In 1986, 7 years after Gagarin's death, a space shuttle mission was launched to service the Skylab, an orbital workshop that had been attached to the Apollo command module. During the mission, one of the astronauts, Edward Gibson, suffered from severe vomiting and diarrhea. His condition rapidly deteriorated, and he died the next day. Again, the cause of death remains officially unknown, although some believe that Gibson may have contracted a rare strain of the deadly bacteria, Vibrio. To this day, there are still many people who wonder if space travel is simply too dangerous to be worth it. After all, if we can't even keep our astronauts alive on a routine mission to space, how can we expect to ever reach far-off planets and star systems? Maybe those who died on that mission all those years ago knew the risks that came with space travel better than anyone else. Now watch. Are we alone? Astronomers find strange alien planet. Or check out. How long would it take to die in space?